Welcome back, everybody. So this week I'm going to create some abstract backgrounds for use in further tree portraits at some point. So I've already begun by just dribbling some latex onto my sheet of paper. This is an A3 sheet of paper which I'm going to be folding in half and using as 2 sheets for the portraits, but I wanted to do them as one, and then I'll just cut it in half so the backgrounds will be similar on both pieces. So I'm going to start off. I've got some of my oak gall ink which I made, so I'm just going to give that a shake. And I have all of the leaves. I went out for a walk this morning and I managed to find all of these beautiful leaves. Got some little bits of pine, fern, and all of these were just found on the floor, so I didn't pick anything from the trees. They were just all fallen, even the pine. So I'm going to try some printing and just some flicking, different mark making techniques, just to see what kind of background we've got. And I'm going to try using the oak gall ink to print with, as well as some walnut ink. So let's have a go first of all with this. So I have an old plate which I'm going to pour some of the ink on and then just dip it in and see what effect we get. Oh, this is my walnut ink, not oak gall ink. Where's my oak gall ink? Actually, I'm going to get a brush. I'm going to dip it all in, give it a good press. I've just given all of these a wash. And it doesn't matter where you go. It's useful to have an old cloth just to press down on. So I'm not really bothered about what kind of marks I get here, as long as I get something. I'm going to dip that in again and see what happens. Sometimes you find that some things work better when dipped in paint than they do. And I'm also going to try dragging it when they're dipped in ink. Try painting the ink on, see what marks I can get. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, these are really good. So when I want my backgrounds to kind of look like woodlands and forests. And you can see that that's really starting to look like a woodland background with lots of nice tree imprints there. And this ink will dry a little bit lighter. So when I paint my tree over the front, it'll still stand out. Okay, so that's lovely. Really pleased with that one. Let's try the oak gall ink. This is the oak gall ink. And I'm going to try painting this onto a leaf. I love these oak leaves. And I'm going to go for the side that's got lots of veins on. These leaves were quite wet to start off with, but I've washed them again because they were muddy. And if you don't get a good print with one side, you can always try the other. Sometimes you find that paint prints better than ink because it's slightly thicker. But when these dry, they're still going to be really interesting marks. So I'm going to try with a little bit of paint now, just something quite light coloured, purpley colour. Let's try some of that. And I'm just going to paint it. This is my homemade paint. This is a lovely purple slate. And I'm going to paint it on this lovely birch leaf that I found today. I'm going to make it a little bit thinner this time. Let's try here. Smooth it out. Oh, that's lovely. I like the purple colour as well. Yeah, that's lovely. Sometimes I might just want to do a little bit of the leaf, not the whole thing. Yeah, that's really pretty. I like that. I'm going to try and concentrate my piece more around the edges as well, because the centre is more where I'm going to be painting the main piece. Yeah, I'm really liking this purple colour. See, I've got some flicks there, but that's absolutely fine because I'm going to add flicks anyway. And I'm not being too delicate with this because I want it to be loose. I've also got these funny little pine cones here, tiny, teeny, tiny little pine cones. So I'm not sure what, if anything, I'm going to get out of those, but let's try. Oh, that's interesting. You can get kind of a nice little roll. Oh yeah, cover it in paint and then roll it. That's quite nice. I like that. Soaking it in the ink, and I'm going to roll it again all around the edges. And then just as it starts to lighten off in random spots. So I'm trying to think how my painting of the finished trees is going to be, and they're going to be upright like this. So I want the backgrounds to be upright in each side, and I want there to look like there's lots of trees and things going on in the background. And you can also just dip the ink in and use this to draw with. So again, I'm just going to do this on one side though, because I don't want my two pieces to be too the same. Just going to link some of these. And where I've got the latex, that will leave me nice little gaps when I start adding flicks, because I want this to look like a really dense woodland area at the back. I'm going to do something in that nice purple again. I've got this lovely fern, so let's see if we can get a purple fern shape going on. So I'm just going to paint it. Again, I'm not being too precise. I'm just trying to cover a little bit. And let's see if we can get a lovely fern imprint. That didn't work out too well, did it? Because I went over the latex, I think. Now that one was better. But things like this don't matter, because when I peel the latex off, that will leave quite an interesting mark of its own. Again, I'm going to try and focus around the edges. I don't think I got too much paint on the actual fern that time. Let's try again. Try holding it flat against a plate. Might actually get somewhere. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice. Because then when these dry, I'll have some darker areas and some lighter areas to shine through, which will be really lovely. So I think I'm getting near to the amount of leaves I want. I've got this interesting seed pod. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to get with this. I'm going to try it with some oat gall ink. Just soaking the top. And then printing it. That's quite interesting because we get little marks in 4, which when I put them together will make lovely little kind of flowery shapes. I can just have these. That one's run, but that's okay. And then this will look like dense foliage at the bottom. I like that. Let's try that again, but with this purpley colour. Let's just see if we can get any kind of shape. That's just giving us blobs. But sometimes nice blotchy blobs are really nice, and you can get different kind of blobs when you print with things like this than you can if you just try to do it with a paintbrush. Yeah, that's quite interesting. I like all of these. Now what you can do if you like is let these dry a little bit and then carry on again with bigger leaves or smaller leaves, whichever you like. So I'm just going to go in with some walnut ink because that is quite a dark ink, and paint it on this really big leaf that I've got here. And just try and get an impression to come down. Just want some bigger marks at the top there. I'm going to go back in with this one because I really liked the impressions I got from this one. Really look like the tops of trees. So you can see now we're beginning to have a lovely selection of background. I'm going to get one more little colour. I think I'm going to go for this nice red, brick red. And I'm just going to use some splatter. So when you're doing splatter, you need to load your brush with paint and make sure it's nice and wet. And then you can just flick wherever you want. And this I've got really, really fine splatter here, which is quite nice because it gives a nice little dusting. If you want bigger, then you really load your brush up, make it really wet. I'm not getting in the water. And then just flick where you want it. And you can build up the density in certain areas so it looks like lots of plant foliage. And when I take these bits of latex away, I'm just going to do the same again, but with some walnut ink. When I take these bits of latex away, it will leave little gaps, which, you know how when you're looking at a forest, sometimes the leaves blow and you see gaps in the trees, and it'll look quite dense, quite nice. And I'm just going to add now just a little edge. And join some of these up into some splatters. Just so some of them start to resemble branch-like, especially at the bottom there. But I'm not going to do it too much because the focus will be on the main tree when I get around to doing that. But just a few, so you can just start to see an impression of woodland and trees. I'm going to do a little bit more splattering at the top. Actually, no, I think I'm going to do another leaf print. With this dark purple. But I'm just going to have it use some of the remaining ink there. And I might just take off some paint there. Just soak it off a little bit. And areas where it's really thick will dry darker than the areas that are really light. Especially trying to get the splatter around where I've put the latex. So when I peel the latex off, it will leave a really nice white blob, which can look like flowers or anything you like. I'm just going to do some mark making at the bottom here, just with the end of my brush. And I think that will do. I'll let that dry and then I'll peel the latex off. And then once it's all nice and dry, I'll have a beautiful splattered background woodland, which I can use this whole sheet if I want to, but I'm going to tear it in half and use two sides and do two different tree portraits. So thank you very much for watching. And if you do like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Share if you want to, it would really help. And take care, and I'll see you soon.